Hey there neighbors, Kevin here with eTrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Hellwig Front Anti-Sway Bar here on our 2020 Entegra Coach Odyssey Class C Motorhome. So if you're like our neighbor today and you are tired of feeling fatigued, you're tired of the swaying feeling as you're driving down the road, you're tired of those crosswinds coming across the road and pushing you around because you're in this big bulky box of a vehicle, then swapping out your front anti-sway bar can make a massive difference for you. Now, the point of your sway bar is it's essentially a spring that's going between our two frame beams, and what that's doing is it's kind of acting as a spring to kind of pull everything back to normal because it wants to stay in its original position. So as one side starts to lean more, especially because in a Class C motorhome, you probably have a lot of weight on one side of the motorhome because you'll usually have your whole dinette, your refrigerator, all your appliances are usually sitting on one side, and then you just have like a little seating area or a couch or something on that other side, which isn't really offsetting that weight. So it's going to start to rock side to side a whole lot, and what's going to happen is it's going to push down on one side of that spring, and it's going to want to reverb right back and get back to its original position, which is then helping deal with that sway and giving us a little bit stiffer of a suspension. Now, the factory one, not really big. It's about 7/8 inch in diameter, and our new one is going to be 1 3/8, so we're looking at about a ½ inch difference. Now, Roadmaster says that when you swap out for their sway bars, that it's a 20% increase in performance every 1/8 of an inch. So we're looking at a massive difference between our factory sway bar here and our new one from Hellwig, just with that huge difference in sizing here. Now, I won't say that that's going to get rid of all of your issues. There's a lot of other things that you can do aside from just your sway bar, and one of those we're going to do a little bit later, and that's swapping out the steering stabilizer as well. Getting back to our sway bar is going to have a nice 4140 chromoly steel, and what that means is it's a very high tensile strength, so it's going to be able to really handle a lot of abuse and still maintain its form. On top of that, we have a nice hammer coated or powder coating with like a hammered finish to it. So later on, when you see these old black ones where they start to lose that gloss to it and then they start just rusting out and looking kind of junky, you're not going to have that with this one because that powder coating on there is a lot stronger, a lot thicker, and it just is going to keep that same hammered toned kind of finish there. So it just looks nicer overall for your motorhome. Now, in terms of installation, this one is super simple. You don't need to be on a lift. We're only on the lift today just to make it easier for the camera, but you can honestly just lay under your motorhome. All you're getting to is just the top end link here. You're reusing some hardware, and you're going to have a little bit of new hardware that's going to come with your kit. Everything is provided aside from just the tools. So this is something you can definitely do at home, but maybe you don't own a torque wrench. Maybe you don't want to go buy one or rent one. Maybe you just don't have the time to get it done, and you got a big trip coming up. If that is the case for you, definitely feel free to use our dealer locator, and you can enter in your zip code to find a shop near you and get it professionally installed. Now, if you are wanting to do this yourself, stick around and I'll help walk you through the process. To begin our install, we're going to first have to remove our factory sway bar. Now, we're going to be reusing some components here, so just hang on to each piece that you take down. And starting off, we're going to get to our end links. So you can see we've got our bar coming across here. We've got some D-shaped brackets going into the frame, and then it runs back towards our axle, and it is tied in with some end links. So we're going to take the nut off this top end link, and that's going to allow us to get our sway bar off of it. And to do so, we're going to need an 18mm socket. And I've got a nice breaker bar here, just because it's not a lot of space. Now, it shouldn't be super tight. This isn't like a super high torque spec, so actually that came off super easy, so you might be able to just use a standard wrench. Sometimes on these motorhomes, though, you do end up having some difficulties as things start to corrode. But we're going to get that off. And I'm going to leave that just kind of loose right now. I'm going to get the other side as well, and then we can kind of start loosening up these bolts here, and then that'll allow us to maneuver it around enough to get the end links out without damaging the threads on those bolts. Now we'll take that 18mm socket, and we will pop off this front bolt here on our D-shaped bracket. I'm not going to go all the way because, like I said, I do want to have just wiggle room with the bushing here. Now for the back one, we're going to have to swap the 18 out for a 15. All right, now that that's loose, Should be able to get this the rest of the way, hopefully. I had no problem on the passenger side, but this one is just really not wanting to get out enough. Oh, all right, so we're gonna wait. I'll just drop the whole thing and then we'll pull it out. I don't wanna, like I said, I don't wanna damage the threads. So I'm gonna loosen up the ones over on this side as well. Now just have somebody here or something, or keep your hand on it, because obviously when you drop those brackets, this is gonna wanna fall down on you. There we go. Now we got the other end link out. Pop this bolt out the rest of the way. Back one, I need a little bit more force. All right, now we can drop that down. I'll set that aside. So here is our new sway bar from Hellwig, and this is how it's going to be positioned. You'll notice it kind of arcs up with the ends of the sway bar here. Now we're going to have this spot right here for our D-shaped brackets and our bushings, and we're going to need to get those bushings ready. So there's lubricant packets, these guys right here. We're going to be putting these on the inside of our bushing here. So what I like to do is kind of spin it around in my hand while squeezing out a bunch of the lubricant. That way I kind of get it already mixed around on here. And then I'll finish it off with my finger, just kind of smearing it around, making sure we're getting a nice even coat. Now this lubricant is extremely sticky when it gets to your skin, so I don't recommend doing it barehanded. I definitely recommend wearing some gloves, having an extra set or two with you too, because once we get this on, we're gonna want to swap our gloves so that way we can get the whole sway bar up onto the frame. Get this the extra off my finger, and we'll get the other tube into this one. Now when you look at your brackets here, you're going to see a small one and a tall one, and these are going to mesh up with the smaller one being at the back of the bushing and the taller one going over all of it. Now you do want to make sure that you're getting the holes on these in the correct spot, because you'll notice this one's a lot skinnier than this one over here. So this is clearly going to be for the front because we have that larger bolt that's going to go through the front. If we tried to flip it around, we're not going to be able to get the bolt in, going to have a bad time. Now when it comes back to the hardware, we're going to be adding on some blue Loctite, which is included with the kit. So make sure you get it all over the factory front bolt, and for the rear bolt, we're going to be swapping away from the factory one and switching to the provided one in your kit. So make sure that you throw that flat washer on there and that you're also putting on some blue Loctite. Get our sway bar kind of up in the right area. Somewhere I'd recommend having a second set of hands to make your job easier for you. But I'm going to just use the tie rod here to help hold that other side while I get this in place. So we got our smaller bracket, larger bracket. All right, we're going to get one of these bolts started here. We'll grab the back one. Couple threads in there. Now I'm going to go to the other side with the other side on. Have this be supported. Now while those are still loose and I have a little bit of wiggle room, I am going to get my end links in place. So I'll pop that back in, throw on the nut so it can't come back off. I'm going to leave that a little loose because I do still want a little bit of play, so that way I can get this side in. And at this point I'm going to snug each one of my bolts and nuts down, and then we'll torque them all to spec. Now on the back bolt, we are switching to a 17mm socket instead of that 15 with this new bolt. Now mine stayed still when I torqued that, but you may also have to throw a wrench on this nut on the back side. I just honestly held it with my hands and it was fine. I didn't feel it move at all, and we got our torque. So that one's good, but if it does fight me on the other side, I'm going to grab a wrench. Now that we have all of our hardware torqued to spec, that is going to do it for our installation and look at of the Hellwig front anti-sway bar here on our 2020 Entegra Coach Odyssey Class C motorhome. My name's Kevin. If you still have some questions about what's going to be the right anti-sway bar for your motorhome, or maybe you want to add a rear one and just don't know which one's going to be the right fit, definitely feel free to reach out to us via our Ask the Experts link, a comment on this video, or a phone call to our customer service department, and we'd be happy to help you out on your journey.